What is going on, guys, and welcome to the recap of Underdog Experiment Week 1. We are just waiting to see if anybody will join us here. Just give it a little bit of time. Hope you got the memo on the Hungarian split squats. That was supposed to be done like before the live. Just so you know, I got mine in, so I hope you have yours in. Nonetheless, we'll give it a second. We'll see who shows up, whoever doesn't. I do have some talking points today and go over the recap of what has gone over the week, essentially what I learned over the week. I had that live stream, I had that premiere on Sunday, kind of talked about what I was aiming for this week, went over it again on Monday, and then today is essentially the recap on what the results were, what I could possibly learn and bring into the next week. So ultimately, that's what we are doing today, is the recap. So, and again, just going over some talk points here. If you do guys do have any questions at all, I don't see anybody live streaming just yet, so it's all good in the hood. We're going to work it out. Again, we're going to keep this thing going. Hopefully next week on week 2, we do have health. So perhaps we'll get some more people in here talking about efficiency and time management. Isn't the greatest thing. People aren't so excited about that, but you know, it's a good building block for everything else, right? I think that's what is important. So with that being said, let's see what we got here. We'll blow this up actually, as opposed to having this super small, so that way you guys can see me a little bit better and essentially go over everything, right? So again, with that being said, this week, primary goal this week was to shoot for removing social media, right? I really noticed this, especially when I started looking at time management, what I should focus on this week. Again, I've felt like I've been extremely proficient in a lot of different things that I do. So to channel that, right, to figure out what exactly I could improve on, it was a bit of a stretch, right? There's always something. You just have to really audit yourself and look for those things. And so again, for me, what I went for was the social media. I was finding that I was spending too much time on there. I would essentially post something on there, and what would happen was, after posting it, I would spend too much time, right? Like some of the other articles in there would catch my attention. I would find out it's been 10 minutes on there, whatever. And I felt like I was doing this a couple different times a day. And so this week, I eliminated it. In that first stream that I did have, I was logging everything in there nightly. I know on Monday night, the Monday night or Tuesday after the stream, I didn't actually post anything on there. It was Tuesday morning, I believe. I went and I updated it. But nonetheless, all the information is there. I essentially had a running log of all the stuff I had done the week. Just some brief bullet points. I mean, I didn't want to get too detailed. Nobody wants to sit there and get too detailed, but having those brief bullet points, updating them, so people kind of know where you stand, right? And so all week, I know Tuesday, I didn't do too much on social media, right? Like I went on there. I think I caught myself a couple times on Monday, spending too much time on there. So as soon as I realized I was doing that, I ended up cutting myself off. And then the rest of the week, it was kind of just gravy, right? I think on Wednesday I posted a video, and that's all I limited it to. And I did that way. I had like a goose egg. Was it Thursday, yesterday, and essentially today, right? I spent absolutely no time, and I realized I was really proficient, but it wasn't just the proficiency, right? It was more the focus. And I realized I was a lot more focused on those things that I wanted to be focused on this week. And that is a great part of being proficient, right? Is if you can remain focused and eliminate a lot of those distractions. And this goes in doing this, right? And realizing this, it's not just social media, right? It's like anything. If you're trying to really improve your life, I feel that it could be those things that are essentially just any distraction, right? Like TV, one of those things, like you're trying to make your life better. Like you have this routine, and I had this routine with social media that I was doing, and not really realizing it until I really audited and be like, hey, I'm spending way too much time here, and then I shut it down, and I realized that, man, I become a lot more focused, and I started knocking all kinds of stuff out at work, on the channel. I started looking at some additional things I wanted to do, and it was actually quite interesting. I got some new ideas, right? And that was what was fantastic about it, is I started generating some new ideas. So I'm telling you, man, like, you can honestly like audit yourself on where you're slacking, you know, what can improve, and just that little change, right? That little change I really found it made a huge difference. And it was like the second day of doing it, I was like, wow, this is really a difference. And I noticed you have, because it's kind of like been a part of your routine, that it's hard to break away. Right, you just automatically do it. Like I was automatically just flipping in there, posting something, and then you find yourself drifting off doing something else. And I caught myself trying to like go back and look at it. And so what I did was I moved the app over to a different screen, right? So I didn't see it, so it wasn't in the typical screen that I'm typically always functioning in, essentially. And so in doing that, again, I saw just my focus was there, my attention was there on the things that I wanted it to be, and I came across a lot of different things that were my focus. Again, it helped me, but like I was finding stuff, like I was digging like certain things, like I was researching and essentially pulling that string onto other things that it can help in expanding the channel and stuff like that. So, in doing that. Just to remind you, remember to hit the like button, right? And to share into all that, so that way we can get the message out and build this community. It helps the YouTube algo and all that fun jazz. So that's, you know, we get the message out and help people improve their lives, right? Because ultimately that's what we're trying to do. That's what I'm doing here. That's what I'm trying to essentially have this underdog experiments, right? This is what we're doing here. And again, share, like, all that fun jazz. So back to time management, right? So that's what I did. So essentially my results were, I need to eliminate social media, right? Or find a window in which I can check it and make sure I just go in and out. And that's all you're going in, right? Like you're going in the store for bread, just go straight for the bread, grab the bread and get out, right? That's what you do. And so, and trying to be proficient, that's the way you have to be, right? If you're trying to like block your time, like you should really be that way, and such that, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and right, just eliminate the thought process and start executing. And I started really focusing that on this week too, as well. Was okay, I got to essentially eliminate. I have these steps I got to get done, right? This week was really busy trying to do the live stream and everything. It was all new, so I got to schedule all that stuff in. And so it was just like, okay, well, I still have my regular routine. I just execute on those. And I figured like, okay, take a breather. It was like working out too, right? So it was like in between like reps and sets, you're kind of just like, okay, you take a quick breather. We're going to move on to the next one. Take a quick breather. As soon as you catch your breath, just go on to the next one, right? And so it's just like doing anything, right? You want to try to be proficient. You want to eliminate the thought process of, oh, this is horrible and all the bad things that can happen, and just start executing on it and get it done. And so ultimately, that's what I did this week. And again, just the social media. So it's kind of one of those things, like you see the change in it. So I saw what the change of eliminating the social media did. And then I started looking at other things. Okay, well, what other things in my life can I change and essentially eliminate and see what it does, right? So this is even like my diet, right? Like I went plant-based, and researching that, and it kind of opened my eyes about other things, and you realize that you essentially go down this rabbit hole, and then you start really guessing a lot of the different beliefs that you have and stuff like that, because you can get these perspective changes, and that's all it takes, right? But it takes the wherewithal of knowing what you're doing, auditing yourself, and making those changes and make yourself more proficient. And it's not something that happens overnight, right? Like it's something you slowly build up, right? You build consistently and continue to audit yourself, and you realize that these things happen. So ultimately, this week, what could I have done better, right? I did jot down a note. I do have that here, so let me shrink this window down a little bit. And we're going to do some magic jazz fingers. I mean, I can do jazz fingers. You guys want me to do jazz fingers. Yeah, that makes you more proficient. So this is kind of my week rundown, right? So this is what I've been talking about, everything. I did just go over the time management thing, but I did want to hit on the notes here. Since we are talking about time management, I did have all the pillars here. I can kind of run through those down as well in this recap. But ultimately, I had a note about trimming down additional tasks to what is most important to me. I feel there's a lot of times when you want to do so much, and a lot of times you got to kind of reset, just have the reset mindset, right? Like, okay, well, I have to not take on so much, especially when you're trying to do something new. When you are, if you're just trying to easily just start like trying to eat healthier, right? Like, don't take on like these 4 different categories. Yes, I have all these different things, but I've got it to a point to where I think I'm proficient enough in a lot of these different things that I can take on a couple things, because I know I got to take it in bite-sized pieces, right? Not try to essentially change my life overnight, because it's not going to happen. You got to increment yourself up to that particular time. So again, trying to find what's more important. Again, eliminating the social media it changed a lot and made me rethink about a lot of different things. And so that's something I want to carry on through the next 3 weeks, is to look at those things that are important, concentrate on those things, eliminate, again, the whole social media thing. I'm definitely going to try to just limit that to a small window, not even limit an hour, right? Like, that's not what I want. I want to eliminate it to maybe a couple minutes and then go from there. But so as far as to wrap up time management, I felt I did pretty good, right? I really limited it. I did catch myself earlier in the week. Again, it's like anything new you're trying to learn, right? Like, you really have to, you're going to have to stumble, and you shouldn't beat yourself up for that, right? Like, I'm pretty good about just clean cutting it and be done with it for the most part. And so, again, for this, it was pretty right. I think it was just an automatic habit to look for the app. So again, in moving into the next screen, making sure I wasn't seeing it, allowed me to focus. And I realized that by doing this, it helped me, especially like on my stock stuff too. Like, it eliminates all these other inputs, right? And I think that's when going back to the perspective thing, like, you have all these different inputs coming in, and a lot of times you don't have enough time to think for yourself. You don't have that critical thinking time, which is extremely important, and I think really rare nowadays, right? There's a lot of people don't allow themselves to just sit in silence and think. And maybe you don't like what is in there, right? There are a couple of times I've had to do that. I didn't like what was in there, but I mean, it's extremely important. I think, I've been also going over some Stoic stuff. The book I have on here, right, the lives of the Stoics, which is a good book, but it's just about different Stoics and their lives, right, and their philosophies, right. And so it's an interesting book. Probably not one of my favorite books, right? Like, I like the Stoic stuff, and I think I have a very Stoic mindset, but philosophy, I think a lot of Stoics are a little too serious about things they did, right? Like, and I like to have fun, but I like to also, tackle those things that I want in life. And so nonetheless, kind of losing track here of what I've been doing, but so that book is good, right? I started that this week. I have a log there about essentially what I did every week. I didn't have extra time. Another good to hit back on the time management here. Right, like, I didn't have a lot of extra time this week to just sit and listen to a book. So these 30 minutes are essentially car trips, right? So every car trip I had, I put on an audiobook and I was listening to. So that's another good tip on time management and being efficient with your time, right? A lot of times you may have kids or whatever the case is, and you don't have a lot of time. Now, I didn't listen to my book when I was in the car with the kids, right? Because that's normally like some Barney stuff going on in the car and sing-alongs, right? So that's why that didn't totally work out there. But when they weren't in the car, when I was going to pick them up, yes, I had time, right? And it adds up, right? That 30 minutes, 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, it added up. And so that's ultimately what I did, right? As soon as I started the car, bam. So looking for times where you can improve and take advantage of those times, right? It can also be a time just for critical thinking. thinking, right? Or just thinking, and just complete silence. And I've done that sometimes, right? Like sometimes I can't always listen to a book, right? I think sometimes I will sit there and just think without no radio, without anything, with just silence. And that's important. And I think you do need to do that throughout every day. Oh, and that's where I was going with the Stoic thing. I was listening to this video about Stoics or about the lives and stuff. And they have, Marcus Aurelius essentially spent his evening, he would shut things down. You hear about this a lot, personal development. Everybody hears about this. You turn off all your electronics essentially and shut yourself off. And I think it's important because you got to have that critical thinking, right? You got to reflect on your day. You got to reflect on your life, where you're at, audit yourself, right? Where do I need to be fixing? And so I think this is really important here on doing that in your life and improving your life, being efficient, right? And this is why this is week 1, because you have to be efficient to essentially provide the time for these other pillars. Now, once you learn this, I think it's a good base, right? It's a good building block for all the other things that come along in the different pillars that we got going on here. Now, I can go through some of these here as far as like time management. I think that's pretty much what I got for the week. I figured it was a pretty successful week. Again, gave me new perspective. Again, gave me that other side note there to look at what's most important and not take so much on, right? Because you take too much on, you lose focus, and you can't achieve essentially what you want. And again, it's baby steps, right? Aim for one thing a week and move on from there. Don't take on tons of stuff at one time. Again, when you become more proficient, then you can start doing a little bit more at one time. Just, again, bite-sized pieces, man. Bite-sized pieces. And then you can go into the bigger pieces, right? So nonetheless, we can go back again through here. As far as like health-wise, I was drinking a gallon of water a day. I've done bodybuilding for a good chunk of my adult life. Quarantine hasn't been so kind to me, but nonetheless, I've still been pushing hard and doing calisthenics, stuff like that. Doing running, a little bit of weight training with the weights I do have, stuff like that. So still keeping in shape. But ultimately what I wanted to do here was, I know my drinking water, right? That was one of the best things I found about, we'll get into this next week more in detail about like health and all that stuff. But like the 1 gallon of water, 1 gallon, if I could talk, the 1 gallon of water a day, right? That, it does so much, essentially clears out your body, clears your skin, it allows you to think clearer. It does so much, right? And again, it trims weight and all that stuff well too. And I know over the past like 2 weeks, I've been really trying to work on this, just trying to essentially flesh out all that stuff, making sure that I'm drinking a gallon of water a day. It's not, I know I wasn't doing that consistently, so that's why I would really aim for that this week. Finances, I started looking to Stripe, the company. Again, it's a payment service that I'm hoping to become IPO. I just briefly touched on it this week. Again, I didn't want to overload myself, but I did want to kind of hit on that at some point this week, and I did squeeze in a couple minutes there to look at the company Stripe. I like investing and reading into companies and stuff like that, and that's something we can look into finance when we get to that pillar. I know investing, stock market stuff can really help a lot of people, help you leverage your money. So the money you do make, you can't leverage it. It's something I was never taught when I was young. Something I'm teaching my kids, something I'm hoping I can come on here and teach everybody else, help everybody out, right? Try to leverage. That's what we're trying to do here, is become efficient in leveraging these pillars in your life. And you realize that by leveraging these pillars that you can really make a huge transform. You can transform yourself, right? Like you got to get out of that fixed mindset that you can't change who you are. You can. It takes baby steps and being consistent, right? And it all starts with a mindset and telling yourself that you can do it. It just takes time. Nothing is an overnight success, right? You hear that millions of times. It's true. It's the core facts, right? There's no cutting corners. You have to put in the work. Okay, so finances, we hit on that a little bit. I'm looking at Stripe. Looking for that IPO to come out. See, people skills, going live, right? Like going live is something I haven't really done a lot of. I've done it on Instagram briefly when I was first doing the videos, something I really wanted to touch on. and get out there, right, and push that comfort zone, because I think that's what's important here. So you push that comfort zone when it comes to people skills. It's that consistently pushing to eventually get there. So people skills going live. Again, this platform is much easier, I think, in my opinion. I do like the setup a lot better than Instagram, and I've kind of got over that camera shyness bit. So yeah, so that's my people skills for this week. I think that's the last pillar we got going on there. But and then the book again. This is the book I'm going to be essentially reading for the rest of the 4 weeks. I think I don't actually know. Let me see here what I got. I got 4 hours and 4 minutes left, right? So I think the book was actually like 8 hours, something like that. And again, one of the big things, again, going back to time and efficiency and all that jazz, right? I do Audible. I know people love to read books. I totally get that, right? I've never been a huge book reader. I don't like to just sit and read a book. I like to leverage, right? I'm all about leveraging time, leveraging money, leveraging, whatever you have, right? It's the best, and that's ultimately how you can, I think, take advantage of life, right? And be most beneficial. So again, here, the biggest thing here, the books, right? The Audible. This is why I like Audible, because I can go, right? Like I used to hear about people going like 2x speeds and going through these books, right? So an 8-hour book would be like, obviously 4 hours. But I was like, there's no way. Like it's almost like listening to, the Chickmunks, right? Like the old holiday songs and all that stuff. Yes, I'm old, but but it's essentially that, right? Like you hear these people going so fast, and you're like, well, how can I even understand what they're saying? And again, you got to think about it. It's baby steps, right? Like it took me, I think I went like 1.5 speed for like 2 months or something like that for me to like catch on, the essential speed of the audio that was coming in, and to get used to that. And then I did that for like, I think 2 months, and then I moved on to 2.5. And when you make that transition, yes, it's a little hard, right? You got to replace some of the books a little bit, but you eventually get to there and you can understand, right? And I'm sure when other people, maybe they hear me listening to this audio book and it's probably going like 2.5 speed, right? They're probably like, what in the, are they listening to? And it works, right? But it makes you leverage the time that you have. So these 8-hour books that I have, I'm actually knocking them out in half the time. And it's great. It's like one of the most effective things, especially in knowledge. And that's also something I wanted to bring up this week was, I read this book on, oh my gosh, I can't even think of his name now. Man, see what happens? There's brain fart just right in the middle of everything, just ruining my whole day. What is his name? I can't even think. I'm just not brain dumping right now. And yes, I will talk my way as I scroll through all these books here. Hold on 1 second. Where's she at? Yeah, I can't even think of his name. But it was essentially the way he leveraged his time was he would hire people to read books for him. And he would essentially have those people write cliff notes of those books and just give them the high points, right? Because obviously back then they didn't have audiobooks or anything like that. So I can't. He was one of the richest man in America way back in the day. And I think the way his wealth. Here it is. This one. Oh, don't download. No. Okay. No, it's not Titans. That's not the book I had. Yeah, but anyway, what he ended up doing. I don't know why his name is escaping my mind right now. And it's gonna kill me for not knowing his name. But what he ended up doing, right, is he he hired people on to read a bunch of books and then essentially give him the cliff notes, right? And he tried to leverage his time. And if he didn't know how to do it, he hired someone to essentially knew better than him, right? It's like Elon Musk, right? You hire those people that are more efficient or more knowledgeable, when essentially you might have this grand idea, but you want to be proficient. You want to always be knowledgeable, right? You always want to be in the forefront of what's going on. And so it's hard to do that, especially if you got a lot of things going on in your life. So to try to leverage what you do have, it's still killing me what his name is, and I don't want to end the stream without knowing his name. But nonetheless, I'll probably have to leave an opinion in the comments of what it is, because I'm just brain dumping right now. But nonetheless, that's what he did, right? He leveraged his time by doing that, by using other people's expertise into doing that. So again, another great reason, time efficiency. Always try to look for those things, right? It's one of those things, like if you're not looking for it, you won't see it. So you definitely have to make note of it and audit yourself on a frequent basis. So that is essentially it for time management for this week. Again, great week. Sunday to go back through everything. So then go ahead and expand this again so you get just me. So again, Sunday I'll go on the premiere, talk about what's going on for next week. Next week we do have health. If there's anything in particular that you want me to hit on the health aspect, right? I've gone through a lot, right? Like I lost 50 pounds. I became plant-based. I've fluctuated with weight a lot. I've fought weight as a kid. I've done bodybuilding. I've ran. I haven't actually ran a marathon officially, right? But I've ran half marathons on my own all the time. I run 30 miles a week, 30 miles a week plus sometimes on the weeks I don't have my kids. And on other weeks I do HIIT and stuff like that. So I do a lot. I've educated myself on a lot. I do have a lot of books. I will add a lot of books. And again, if there's any kind of time management, that's one thing I want to mention here. If there's anything on time management, I do have some books, again, in the description. If you guys are interested in following up on any time management, as far as hitting on this particular pillar again, I don't think it's one of those pillars that people are really enthusiastic about. They may be more enthusiastic about the other pillars. So unless there's a request to do another time management kind of week, I think that will kind of be as requested, right? And then the rest of the weeks we'll more focus on the other three pillars. Again, I just wanted to kind of have a jumping off platform here in which people can become more efficient, so they can tie these other things they feel they may not have time for, right? And again, it all comes down to auditing your day, figuring out where that time is going, and really figuring out what's more important to you, right? Is that hour of binge watching a show more important to you, or is it better to improve your life in a way so where you're actually happy and you're going out and doing those things that you want to do? And actually, going on this live stream it's made me really excited. It's brought some new excitement into my life about, we're doing this, right? Having purpose, right? And improving yourself, helping others improve themselves, right? And so, again, audit your time, do that, do what you need to, and you'll find that you can make great changes in your life, right? It's, again, this week, it's the inputs, right? It's definitely the inputs, right? If you can audit what's coming in and eliminate some of those inputs, it can make a big difference. And then actually realizing that and applying that and figuring out ways to set yourself up for success. AKA, I moved that app out of my normal site, right? And I quit looking at it. And it made a big difference. And I noticed that. And now it's causing me to look at other things to make myself more proficient. So that's just what it takes. It's taking those little baby steps. So again, books, times management. We'll add new books over there. I also have my top 5 books I've been putting in the description. So if you're interested in my top 5 books, I did talk about a book this week. It did not crack my top 5. I came pretty close, but top 5, I have those listed in the description. So if you're interested in those, Look those up. Those are great books. I think those are all must-read books for anybody out there trying to improve themselves. These are definitely like the ones that can change your perspective dramatically. So those, again, in the description. Next week is health. Look for the Sunday premiere. I'll talk about what I'm looking to improve for next week. And then Monday, we'll do another live, and I'll kind of go over everything. Hopefully, some people come with their list. Right? And then we'll do that Monday, and then Friday we'll do a recap on the live. I'll look to try to put out another video for you guys next week as well. I've had a lot of ideas, right? I've had removing the Facebook, the media stuff is really giving me some other ideas and stuff. And so that critical thinking, I swear by it. If you can spend some time every night, right, just reflecting on your day, reflecting on your life, give yourself that time, and I guarantee you it will be most beneficial, right? Eliminate some of those inputs, right? In that last hour of your day, really just cut all inputs off and allow yourself to sit with your thoughts, and you realize that, hey, you can make some changes. You'll want to make some changes. You realize how beneficial that really is. Again, for myself, it's been tremendously beneficial for myself. So that's essentially where I got. Again, everything. Look for the premiere on Sunday. It should be, I'll have it set for 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you have any questions for the upcoming pillars, anything you want to particularly see, again, comment in this video. Once I post this video, leave it down below. If there's anything you want me to hit on, whether that's, we got health next week. After that, I think we got, it's finances after that. And then the 4th week is people skills. So those upcoming weeks, if there's anything you want to see in particular, you want me to talk about or anything like that, again, just let me know. And you can do that through the live streams. That's why I'm doing these, to answer some questions. So if anybody got any questions, you can always just plop a question in, and I will be more happy to answer. I do have one viewer, so if you do have any questions, please drop it in the comment section. Otherwise, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys had a great week. I hope you guys made some improvements. I know I did. I got new perspective. Again, new perspective comes with trying new things, and be willing to do that, right? Ultimately, and not being afraid to get outside your comfort zone, and right, going live, right? That's a big one for me. So I would have done this a couple months ago, or a couple of years ago, matter of fact, because it's been a couple of years now, but I don't know if I could have done it. And I remember that first video I posted on Instagram, and it was, and hitting that submit button was hard. It was scary. But I did it. Now we're here. Now I can just go live, and I feel like I can talk pretty freely now. But anyway, again, I hope you guys are doing great. Hope you guys had a great week, and Sunday premiere. All right, guys. Thank you. See you.